I call the Honourable Member Grant Robertson.
Mr Chair, thank you very much. Clause 5 is the interpretation clause, and this is where a number of actually quite significant changes are being made. And as you know, Te Ururoa Flavel has an amendment to Clause 5.2, which we will come to in time. And I just note before we do, it's a clause that his amendment has been consulted on across the House, and there is agreement to it. The Royal Society themselves are comfortable with the change and are supportive of it going through. So I do hope that all parties in the House will be able to find their way to supporting it, but it will be helpful to have explanation of the process and how we got to it. Before we get to that, though, there is Clause 5.1, which amends the Act by repealing the definitions of Academy bylaws and Academy Council and substituting the definitions that are included there. The important point there, as we've raised earlier on, was the confusion that could occur by having an Academy Council and a separate council of the Royal Society. So the Academy Council is essentially the science scholarship committee of the Royal Society, and the council is the governance body. But by having them called the Academy Council and the Council, there was scope for some confusion. Therefore, the decision was taken to rename the Academy Council as the Academy Executive Committee. A minor point, some might say, but actually important, because what these two bodies do is represent the different strands of work of the Royal Society. So the Council has that overall governance role to ensure that the Royal Society is performing the functions that are outlined in fact in this bill, in Clause 6, when we come to it in forthwith, which is about fostering that culture of science. It's about presenting arguments to government. There needs to be a body that can govern that work, provide the overall stewardship and leadership. That body does not necessarily have to include just scientists, and it doesn't. Currently it includes someone like Phil O'Reilly from Business New Zealand, who brings an outside perspective. He wouldn't consider himself to be a scientist, I think, by any means, but he does have a perspective that's valid and worthy on that council. The Academy Executive Committee, on the other hand, is the harder science end of the operation. It's the organisation part of the organisation that actually decides on who wins fellowships, who wins scholarships. It's actually there at the hard edge of what work the Society will undertake within its scientific fields. So that's what Clause 5.1 focuses on. Clause 5.2, as I've mentioned, is the definition of humanities. Now, this has gone a little bit backwards and forwards. The original definition that came before the House included English and other languages, drama and American studies at the end of it. Now, that's sort of a slight hodgepodge of subject areas. That was largely defined by subject matter that the Council for Humanities tended to note when they were describing themselves. But I think the Royal Society made clear from the very beginning of this process that they were relaxed about that definition. They wanted a definition that was inclusive but highlighted areas that people thought were important. So the Select Committee withdrew English and other languages, and perhaps a member of the committee might want to discuss that. I wasn't on the committee myself, and American Studies. What Te Ururoa Flavel has done is introduced an amendment that will include Te Reo specifically, and also Māori studies. And as I noted when I read out the Memorandum of Understanding, I think that does fall in line with what the two organisations, the Council for Humanities and the Royal Society, were trying to achieve in bringing themselves together. Because right at the start of their Memorandum of Understanding, the third point is the importance and value of mātauranga Māori. The importance and value of mātauranga Māori. And so it was recognised right off the bat that was part of the bringing together of these two organisations. So I actually think Mr Flavel's amendment picks up that spirit. It includes Te Reo and Māori studies. There could have been an argument to re-include other things, but the Royal Society is happy with where it's ended up. And as I've stated before, I'm here on behalf of the Royal Society sponsoring this bill. They are comfortable with the amendment that's on the table for Clause 5.2. But it would be useful to hear perhaps from someone on the Select Committee at some point about why the change was made to withdraw English and American Studies originally. But I don't think we should concern ourselves that the amendment is anyway hostile. It's in fact very supportive of the original agreement of the Council and the Royal Society to bring this bill to the House. So I think Clause 5 is an important one, Mr Chair, because what it does is define two specific changes that have been made here. The change to the structural part of the organisation and also the change to the definition around the bringing in of humanities. Just to clarify once and for all too, the social sciences are already there. So my own subject of political studies is covered already. The humanities is defined as it is here in the bill and in the amendment from Mr Flavel.
I call the honourable member to